been busy, so glad we get to connect and catch up. Been a while since we've talked. Our season is officially over, so just some things as far as general things to wrap up. Finished the year at 14-13, overall 7-5 in the league. Our 7-5 in the league mark put us, there's still a game or two left to be played, but it put us in contention all up until one of the last nights about being able to compete for the championship. So I'm really proud of our commitment and our intensity this year to compete in what was a really good conference. We had 7 teams in our league. 6 of the teams had at least 10 wins, which is in suburban conference play a pretty remarkable number. Want to recognize Dr. Jacobs as well. Many of you were there that night or aware of the activities that took place to recognize him. So a credit to our sports marketing folks, but then also the entire community who came together and recognized, and obviously an iconic figure and personality in our community on that night. We also had senior night where we were able to recognize 7 seniors of our program. A really nice night. We were able to get Brady in the game. We were able to start Brady that night, even with the ACL, and St. Joe Central went along with us and helped us out there. But a group of 7 seniors, 6 that finished being able to play, that really left a really, really good mark in our program. They all contributed in different ways, but I'm confident that the legacy that those guys leave is really, really positive for us. When the regular season ended, then we had some time to prepare after we played Grandview on Saturday until we played next Thursday against Fort Osage. Fort Osage, 19 wins, receiving votes in the Coaches Association poll, was who we had in our district semi on Thursday at North Kansas City, and we played really, really well. Executed a game plan masterfully. CJ was as hard to guard as any player that we've had in a while, finished with 29. And we really did a really nice job of coming back after they had a lead and getting ourselves to the finals, where we fell to William Chrisman on Saturday. Chrisman is having a good year. As of this point now, they're in the state quarterfinals, so they beat Park Hill South in the Sweet 16, and they're in the round of 8 with a chance to go to the Final Four if they're able to beat Lee Summit North on Saturday. The all-district team was released. We had 2 players who made the top 10, C.J. Purcell and Jalen Perry. Both made that group, and really, really proud of those 2 guys individually. We had some other guys in the running for it, but our district was really strong this year. So they competed against some really talented players for that. And then also we've got a lot of guys who are playing at the next level, whose seasons are still going or finishing. Tyson Cathy over Benedictine's #1 team in the country in NAIA. Dominic Fergola they finished their year. McCabe Hughes just won, and they advanced to the region tournament at Johnson County. I was able to connect with Michael Hughes playing over at Duquesne the other day. They closed their regular season Saturday, then the A-10 tournament. Nick Coleman, sophomore, coming off the freshman national championship at Graceland. Robbie's over at Jewel, and then Luke Cornell down Mainagen at Mizzou. So we got a lot of guys at the next level that now we're able to kind of shift our focus and root for those guys as they've rooted for us all year. But wrapping up before my questions, just wanted to extend a sincere thanks to the many, many people who make our season possible. Our players are obviously the #1 component of that, their families, but then the support that we get from our school, our student body, our administration, but then also programs like you all here, our sports marketing program. There's just so many things that go into making us have an enjoyable experience here. We spend a lot of time together from October until March, basically, but it's really a really enjoyable thing. Sad that it's over. We got some guys who are already itching to get going and wanting to play again, and I think that speaks volumes to where we're at. So with that, that's kind of an overview of what's gone on the last 2 weeks, and turn it over to you guys for any questions that you have.
All right. What are some things you've urged the guys to take into consideration going into district play?
Going into districts, we had a really clear identity as to what we needed to do against Fort Osage. So our scout team deserves a lot of credit. Hayden Armour was assigned to be the best player that Fort Osage had, and we gave him all the tendencies that that player had. And he did a phenomenal job over 2 days of practice to simulate what it was going to feel like in the game as best he could. And then we had other guys who did it as well. So just an emphasis on understanding the opponent's strengths, understanding what they wanted to do to try to take advantage of us, and then some things we could do to negate some of those things. So our focus was on just making sure that we were executing our details, and we did a really nice job of that.
Okay, so 8 district title games in 9 years is impressive. What do you account for that makes Liberty North so good in postseason play?
Yeah, good question, Blake. I think that the focus of understanding that results are kind of fleeting sometimes, and you can win some games and lose some games, but that doesn't define ultimately maybe what's the DNA of your team and how talented your team might be. You might have a bad night. You might have an opponent play particularly well. But if you're really working to be the best you can be at what's in front of you, then I think you always keep in mind that you want to be playing your best when it matters most. And so we always kind of keep that perspective. We're constantly working to get better. We're constantly on our guys to get better in player development. And our coaches are constantly working to try to prepare them. So I think it's just a process and evolution of making sure that you're the best in what you can do at what's in front of you. And for us, we've cut some breaks along the way, but we've been competitive because our guys really care and our guys are really bought in.
Did this team break any records this season?
Yeah, they did, and I probably should have brought that with me. But I don't have it with me. Mr. Bunch does. They did. So one off the top of my head, 3 off the top of my head would be we broke a record for most points scored individually in a game. We broke a record for most 3-point field goals made as a team. We broke the record for steals collectively as a team. And then there's going to be a couple other individual ones that are in there as well. Mr. Coach Bunch has those all typed up for me, and they're somewhere on my desk. But, yeah, they did. They accomplished quite a bit this year.
Throughout the season, a lot of your wins have come from being behind, with a late rally to get ahead. I know it's early, but have you begun thinking about ways to get the guys going earlier for next season instead of having to come from behind?
Yeah. Probably yell at them a lot more early is probably my start. No, I don't know. So I don't know. That's going to be an off-season study. In the past, we've struggled to start well, but I'd rather not start well and finish well than start well and finish poor. So I gotta be careful what I wish for, but it'll be an off-season study for our staff to try to figure out if there's a rhyme or reason to what we're doing. But I think the toughness and mentality of our team is on display when we're able to come back in those settings. So I'll take the positive with it and then try to figure out a way to negate some of the negative that crops up with it.
There doesn't appear to be any big men on the roster, like Mike Hughes or Bentley Jolly, to take over the center position for next year. So how do you think you'll approach the next season's team? Will it be more guard-based?
Are you a freshman? You're big.
Thank you.
You want to come? You can come play. Yeah. So, really good question. Really, really good question, and perceptive question, because you're right. We had that question mark coming into this year when we lost Tyson, because I put Tyson, Kathy in that group of guys you mentioned with Hughes and Jolly, where we had a clear big man that we could go to offensively or defensively funnel things to. This year's group didn't. This year's group struggled defensively too, and I think in large part because we didn't have that rim protector. We didn't have a guy of size or that was a consistent defensive presence. So one thing we've got to look at as a staff is, does our defensive scheme match our personnel? And if our defensive scheme doesn't match our personnel, then we need to adjust our scheme, because we got to adjust our scheme before we can just start changing players. Offensively, yeah, I think it'll be more guard-based, but I think that's the way basketball's evolving is that there's more playmakers on the floor all the time, 5 guys that can handle, dribble, pass, shoot, all that. Where I'm most worried about not having size is defensively. So we will schematically look at what we need to do to help with that. But it's a good question, and one I don't have a really good answer to right now. So with that, I'll wrap up. I certainly appreciate one of the great things about, and maybe the best thing about our program, is the way that people support us. You guys are a huge, huge part of that. And so throughout the year, being able to come in here and connect with you guys, get our message across to our team, to our players, parents, people who pay attention to us is greatly appreciated. It's a great way for us to stay connected. So I certainly appreciate all the work of you, Ms. Higgins, Mr. Nolden, everybody. And we'll blink and hopefully enjoy some sunshine, and then we'll be back at it in October next year, and I look forward to it. So thanks again for everything, and we'll talk to you guys soon.